Hello, Margarita here, and welcome to the Rise Up with Margarita show. And it is my weekly show every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, where I really provide tools and inspiration and action also, and really inspiring you to go to the next level as a light worker, really rising up and showing up as a leader of light in this world. And if we haven't met yet, my name's Margarita, and I lead other leaders who are here to claim their light and really claim their visibility as conscious leaders in the world so that they can change the paradigm of power and awaken the planet. So today's topic is the 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. So this is so important, and I know that a lot of light workers are talking about letting go of things right now and clearing out things, and that's really important if you want to be connected to your power. And so just to let you all know, hello, folks. I'm seeing some folks dropping in here on Instagram and also on Facebook. And so know that I will answer your questions about this topic closer to the end, and so that I can stay on point for you and really provide this information, because I know that this will really help. Because a lot of light workers, I'll just get right into it. And what happens when you don't clear your energy as a light worker is that you will be unable to leap into the next level of your power, because you're basically going to be so bogged down with other people's stuff that it's going to be very difficult to do your thing and to really radiate your frequency and your light. And just case in point, someone had commented on Instagram recently on one of my posts asking, well, how do I wake up everybody? And it's very interesting, that question, because there's this assumption that it's your job to do that for everybody, right? To like really wake up everyone. But the truth is that it's it's something that happens when we're ready. And basically when our higher self comes forward and says, hey, it's time, right? It's time for us to do our thing, to rise up. And I know light workers across the board are hearing this call from their higher self. And that's why a lot of what I've been sharing has been very much focused to rising up, because this is kind of the choice point for a lot of light workers, where they either will rise up, as difficult and scary as it may be, or they're going to get taken down by their fears. And so you're really at a really juicy choice point right now, where you get to make that choice because you are a sovereign being. So, my job here is to really help you claim your power around that, so that you can do your job basically, and do your thing that you incarnated on this planet to do. So you will be unable to leap into the next level of your power if you're too bogged down with all this stuff, all these old patterns, all these things that are not serving you anymore, and you can tell that they're no longer serving you. Here are some ways you can tell. You can tell either because it may have worked for you in the past, but it's not working for you anymore. Like, you keep hitting up a roadblock and you're like, okay, this thing I've been doing that used to work, it's not working anymore. That's usually an indication that it's outdated, basically, that your technique is outdated. And a lot of that is happening right now for a lot of light workers, that a lot of their go-tos and the things that they used to do, it's just not working anymore, and that's because all the things that have worked in the old paradigm is not going to work in the new paradigm. And we're entering that new paradigm right now. And so that requires you to obtain new tools to really release and let go things that are no longer serving you. And so that's one huge way you can tell if something is no longer serving you, is that you're trying to use the coping mechanisms that you've used in the past, and they're just simply not working. Another way you can tell if something's not working for you is that it makes you feel bad. It just feels crappy, to do whatever that thing is, right? So you'll either feel bad, or your body will have a reaction, because your bodies are upgrading as well. It's a cellular ascension that we're all experiencing. So it's not just only this thought process that gets to be revamped, right? It's also our heart technology, and how we're loving, how we are seeing ourselves as love, how we are seeing ourselves as powerful. All of that is coming into play right now. And on a cellular level, you are receiving upgrades. That's why A lot of you are feeling the downloads, the solar flares, the cosmic frequencies coming in. There's a lot that's helping us right now, but it won't help you unless you apply it, and you won't apply it if you are not letting go of those things that don't work anymore. And so literally they won't feel good to your body. Your body may even reject certain foods at this point, because your body is very wise, right? It knows what's up. And this is something that I know as a licensed acupuncturist or Reiki master teacher and a medicine woman as well, is that your body will react in congruency to what is aligned and what you are bringing in. So if you're bringing in new information, new intel, new frequencies, you're going to be required to let go of stuff that just feels heavy. And that's another criteria you can tell, is that it will either not work anymore, these coping mechanisms, it will simply not feel good, or it will feel heavy. And another thing, it'll feel slow. It'll feel slow. And this is different from you being impatient, right? Because there are a lot of, hi, Ashma, good to see you here. So that's something that happens actually, when something's no longer working for you or it feels heavy and it's just not aligned anymore, your being, whether it be your physical body, your heart, your energy field, it'll just be like, no. It'll just be like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this, right? And so that's what your body will do. So listen to your body, listen to your heart, listen to your energy. And that's why I'm always talking about being heart centered, because not only is that your key to being in your power, is being connected to your heart. And Ashma Shing is saying, I stopped alcohol since May. Woohoo! Congratulations! I love that. So many people are getting sober. I love this. I love this. And so you're part of that movement, Ashma. Really clearing up, right? What no longer serves you. So another thing that will happen when you don't clear out what no longer serves you, you're going to actually hold it in your body. And so it doesn't matter if it's an energetic thing, right? Because that's how it always begins, right? If it's not a physical trauma impact to your body, like God forbid, some kind of accident, right? Then what's really going on is that on the energetic level, it's happening, it's going on. And when you ignore it, it's going to get closer. And then if you ignore it some more, it's going to keep getting closer and closer and closer until it gets in your body, until it becomes a physical form of this resistance and blockage that you have been having on the energetic level. I see it all the time in my private practice. It literally will show up like, I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm just going to be real about it. It shows up as cancers. It shows up as physical pains. It shows up as like rotator cuff injuries, if there's like a throat chakra issue happening here. It could show up as tightness in the chest or anxiety. So it literally can really be a feeling in your body that just feels bad. It just does not feel okay. And so you'll actually hold it in your physical form on the cellular level. And that's why for some of you who are highly empathic or who are noticing these issues, is that there will sometimes be stuff, if you haven't healed this already, make sure that you do, right? Is stuff from past lives. That's why we have specific, strong, visceral reactions to certain things if we don't clear up stuff from past lives, right? Because then it'll just kind of transfer over into this life, and then all of a sudden we have this inexplicable fear of water or something, right? Or some issue with the body, right? That like comes from and I'll just tell you a quick story on this. One of my patients who came into my office, she kept complaining about this piercing pain in the back of her shoulder blade, of her right shoulder blade. And as I started doing work on her, like energy work and acupuncture, I started realizing that there was some past life stuff where she literally did get speared in the back in a past life, and she didn't forgive that person. And so, I did a lot of work with her around that and healed that issue. And Not surprisingly, her back issue cleared up after that, right? So just letting you know, this is how it shows up in your body, in your life. It'll also show up in how maybe you might have some issues with relationships or with money. Maybe you took a vow of poverty, when you were a Buddhist monk like eons ago or something, right? And then all of a sudden, you're having these issues with money because you can't receive it for some reason, right? And so there's all of these ways that all these unhealed things that just kind of linger in our energy field shows up and how it becomes a problem physically, emotionally, mentally, psychically. And here's another thing, when you don't clear out what no longer serves you, your heart won't have the room for these amazing things that you want to bring in. Not only people and especially love, like, and I'm not talking just romantic love, which also includes that, but also platonic love, and just really having deep next level love in your heart. If you are holding on to betrayals, where someone, effed you over or, cheated on you or something like that, right? Heal that shit in your heart, because until you do, it's going to hang out in your heart and it's going to take up space and it's going to clog you up energetically. And how that looks like is that you're going to just not trust people. You're not going to trust yourself, number one. And then that looks like not trusting others. And then that looks like being lonely, right? I mean, just look at the repercussions of holding on to this stuff in your body. So, um, and then also you'll still function from the lower based realities of your fears instead of the higher based realities of your true power, right? So if you are still, let's say, holding on to this concept of it's not spiritual for you to be powerful, then guess what? You're not going to be powerful in this lifetime, because it's either to you in your mind, in this perception, it is I'm either powerful or I make a difference in this world and I'm spiritually in integrity, right? When here's the truth is that you get to have it all. You get to have it all. You don't need to make a choice between being in your integrity and being powerful or being abundant or helping people. You get to have all of that. You get to have all of that. Abundance is abundance, okay? And that includes money. So, a lot of light workers are like, yes, I'm abundant in love. It's like, yes, be abundant in love. Also be abundant in money. It's like that's not exclusive. All of the abundance is ours. We get to have it all. And so here are 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. Now that you've connected with, you know, uh, what happens when you don't clear out what no longer serves you, and just to do a quick recap, you're unable to leap into the next level of your power. Number 2, the toxins that will create disease in your body, and your heart will be unable to make room for what's meant for you. And then fourthly, you will still function from that lower based reality rather than your higher frequency. And so that will look like something very specific. So here are the 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. Number 1, let go of, release your expectations of others, your expectations of others from others. I cannot tell you how many issues arise and how much anxiety in oneself can arise when you have so much expectations. And one of the more common ones to illustrate this for you is, I'll hear this from light workers often. Well, they'll say something like, well, I did this for this person, why didn't I get this back? Right? Like, I helped them with such and such, or I cleared something for them, or they didn't do such and such for me. Why didn't I did such and such for them, should I say. Why didn't I get anything back? And so in that statement, in that question, there's this expectation that if I do something, then I deserve something in return. I expect something in return. And not only that, there is an expectation of how that's supposed to look like. And that is one of the fastest ways to suffering. I'll just tell you that right now, right? If you're like, well, if I'm going to be, doing this work, I expect from other people this, and this. And That's fine. For instance, like if you're going to do a service for someone, you're going to provide an offering for someone, and then to receive payment, right? Like that's something to expect, that would be a normal expectation, right? But then if you are expecting a certain level of emotional investment of the way something is supposed to turn out, that is then when you're going to start creating a lot of pain for yourself. Because the fastest way to suffering is expectation. So, it's really about, okay, what can I provide? And coming from that place of service, right? So, when I'm showing up on social media, yeah, it's to share what I do. Like, and I'm just giving you an example here. I'm sharing what I do because I want to help others. And I also want to kind of give people an idea of like the kind of approach that I have when I'm working with people, and also my belief system and, how I approach things. And so that's something that I do, but I'm not expecting, okay, X amount of people, they better get back to me. And let's see, what would be another expectation from this? Oh, yeah. And then, I expect X amount of people to DM me after this, or I expect them to look at me a certain way or do something for me a certain way. And already, just in that dialogue alone, you can hear a lot of me, right? And so when you're approaching things from service, it's not coming from, well, it's about me. I need to feel comfortable. I need to feel okay with what I'm putting out there. I need to feel safe and secure, right? Like that's all me, right? But when you're in service, that becomes, who can I help? How can I help this person? Right? And then, of course, when you have healthy empath energy boundaries, you're not just giving like things that you might give to, let's say, your private clients to someone who's not investing in you, right? Because you get to also have healthy energy parameters when you're doing things. So you get to be really generous with when you're being generous. So like, let's say with me and my content, I'm very generous with, here's this, here's that, this is what I do, and that kind of thing. And that's really, really important. I'm seeing Ashma say yes, unconditional love and giving, absolutely. Andromeda Lasso is saying taking score feels terrible. Absolutely. You should not be taking score. In relationships, in life, don't do that. Another quick way to suffer, right? So that was number one, to let go of releasing your expectations of others. Number two, release your perfectionism. Oh my God, this is such a juicy topic for light workers. All the perfectionism. If I had a coin, a gold coin, for every light worker who's fixed on being perfect, my goodness, I would have a big stash right now, because light workers are notorious for being stuck in the perfectionism, especially women. Okay? And then I'm just telling you straight, ladies, we have this thing, and this is something I also transformed back in the day, right? Is the perfectionism thing, because the perfectionism, I'll tell you what that's really about. That's really about your self worth. That's really about you equating being perfect with being worthy. Someone is saying rude. Yes, right? This is the reality, folks. And I'm telling you this as someone who's been there, done that, and on the other side of things, is that perfectionism is really about your worth issues. So look where you have this outdated pattern and where you got it, because that's also very helpful. This outdated pattern of I am worthy if I'm perfect. Because that's not true. It's not true. Blow that belief up. Blow that shit up, because that is not true. You are worthy from simply existing, okay? That's the bottom line. You're worthy because you are here on this planet, breathing in and out through your lungs and having a life, okay? So that's why you're worthy. So the whole perfectionism thing, that is usually learned from, look perfect and then show up. And I can't tell you how much that F's with your work and your offers as a spiritually conscious entrepreneur. If you're waiting to be perfect to show up and help people, you're going to be waiting until you're like dead, because that will never happen, because that perfect time when you feel awesome and you feel really, really calm, and when you feel like your offer is absolutely perfect and your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, never comes. It just never comes. And I used to begin that way of like, okay, gotta set this up, and then I gotta do this, and then I gotta do that, and then I gotta look awesome, and then I gotta do this, and everything needs to be perfect. And that was just such a heavy energy. Once you release that, then you can actually just serve, right? Because when you are focused more on serving rather than you, and are you perfect, and am I this, am I that, then, you can just serve up your stuff to people. Because what you will end up doing, and this is something that I coach my clients with, is like, you know, do it before you're ready. Just do it before you're ready. So you got the concept, you got the downloads, apply it, right? And literally before you even have all of the, your sales page or your sales button already and all that, you're already talking about it with your audience, and you're already saying, hey, I've got this offering, it's going to be on such and such a date, and this is going to happen, and this is what you're going to get. And you may not have even the back end, that's what it's called, all those pieces, to receive money and all that other stuff, that you get to do, right? You don't, that all gets to be done, and you get to show up and be like, hey, this is going to happen. And it happens all the time, where before I'm even creating the sales page, and with all the buttons and all the bells and whistles, like, people are already excited to jump into whatever I'm saying I'm going to offer them. And that's also how you build that social media thing too. And so, going back to this topic of perfectionism, you get to clear out your outdated patterns around it. So really get clear. You might even do some journaling around this, like, then in another column, find out who provided that teaching to me, because you learned that, right? We don't get born thinking we need to be perfect, right? We always learn it from somebody. So in the other column, write down who gave that belief system to you, and then find out, is this true? Is this truly what I need? Do I truly need to be perfect in order to help people? And I'll give you a cheat sheet on that. No. That's the answer. The answer is no, right? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to help. You just need to come in with the service of, who is one person I can help today? That's all. You don't need to save the world tomorrow, right? Because that's one thing that, one light worker mentioned when she said, how do I wake everyone up? And it's like, this is not an overnight thing, okay? Ascension is a journey. It's not like you get a trophy at the end of it, right? I mean, maybe the trophy can be like, you live in the new paradigm, and you're in that freedom frequency, right? Which would be amazing and will be amazing. But in order to really open up into that, you need to really clear out your shit. Like, honestly, and that's why I am doing this as the topic today. The 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. Okay. So I covered releasing the expectations of others. Number 2, the perfectionism. Number 3, taking everything personally. Release that. Release it. Stop taking everything so personally. It's not about you. Even when people say to your face and say your name, and make it personal, and it sounds personal, it's not. It's just not. What it really is, if you actually look at it from the perspective of what's really happening, is that people are always going to react in life based on their belief system, based on what they feel they can handle, based on their fears as well. So when someone says, oh, how dare you, like, just like giving you an example of, how dare you say such and such in your topic today, right? Like, let's say you did a video, right? And you posted it and it talked about a specific subject, right? And someone had an issue with that. It has nothing to do with you. Even though you may have shared the idea and shared the topic and maybe even had a discussion on the topic, but their reaction is not on you. It's completely 100% on them. And the reason why is because they're reacting to something because you're simply providing information, right? And if someone has a reaction to that information, that's on them. And that is also based on what they've learned about themselves or what they believe about themselves, what they think they're capable or not capable of. And one thing that, RuPaul has said that I share this all the time because it's so true. RuPaul has said, what other people think of me is none of my business. And it's so true. It's so true. So even if someone were to say to me, Margareta, you suck, and I don't know, you talk too much, or, who do you think you are? And like, first of all, that doesn't trigger me anymore because I get that a lot anyway. How dare you say such and such and that kind of thing. And by this point, like I already just know that it's just they're unhealed stuff, right? That's when people come for you is when they have unhealed stuff. So just know it's not you. It's not you. It's maybe some information that you shared, or maybe it's how you are vibrating that triggers somebody, but that's totally on them. Okay? Eva's sharing others' opinion of me is none of my business. Others' opinions of me is a reflection of their fears projected. Yes, absolutely. And she also shares here, I am a mirror of their disowned parts. Yep, that's scary. Absolutely. So that was number 3. The third thing that you get to release if you want to really connect with your power. And number 4, release your victimhood. Release that. Release it. And victimhood is really, that shows up like you're blaming other people for what you're experiencing in life. Oh, it's because of my mom that I'm this way, right? And I get it, I had a violent upbringing, there were all kinds of things going on and, all kinds of things that I would have rather not happened because it was rather unpleasant, right? But they happened, right? And the reality is that I would not change a single thing because that made me who I am today. I would probably not have claimed my power so fiercely had I not dealt with all that shit, all that violence and death and, darkness and blah, 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 right? Like, that's why I'm in my spiritual badassery now. And I can say that confidently without, being that I'm doing that up to pump myself up. It's just, I'm stating a fact, right? And I know that some of you know that about yourself, that you are really connected with that alignment within yourself. And you get to own that. So when you're in victimhood, it looks like the opposite of that. It looks like, oh, well, my mom did this to me and that's why this is my life, or my dad did this to me, this is why my life is, right? And I'm not talking about belittling what you've experienced, okay? What I'm saying here is unless you make them dictate your life, then, you get to have the life that you want. And I'll be really honest with you, because I was even in psychiatric wards, back in the day. This is how far it went, okay? And some person in the group who was leading a group, and I was very like, self doubting, self-hating, and all this other stuff. And so, and I was talking about how rebellious I am and how I'm going to do this to somebody and how I'm going to do that to somebody, because I was so angry. And the teacher was leading it. Uh, what did he say? It was so like, I was so like, I felt like saying to that person, oh my God, how dare he say that, right? But he was so true. He was so right about it. And he's like, well, because I was doing all this stuff to myself. And he was just like, well, like you don't have to worry about your parents doing that. You're doing that all by yourself to yourself. And I'm like, excuse me? And I was like, rude. Like, how dare he say that, right? But he was right. Okay. And so that's what happened many, many years ago. One of the many wake up calls I've had, right? So if this is a wake up call for you, good. I'm glad about that. If you're angry at me, I'm okay with that. For bringing this stuff up, that's okay, right? But if this will take you to some of these next steps beyond your victimhood, beyond blaming other people for your life, then I did my job, right? So that was number four. The number four thing to let go of so you can connect with your power, your victimhood. And Rachel is sharing, releasing your victimhood is also about healing. If you can learn it, you can unlearn it. Absolutely. Ding, ding, ding. Oh my God. Okay, number five, the fifth thing that you get to release, your trauma. Oh my God, please do that work on releasing your trauma, because I cannot tell you how many light workers glamorize having trauma. It's not glamorous to talk about your entities and to talk about how possessed you are and all this other stuff. It's not cute. Like maybe when you're like 15 or something, but like assuming that you might be beyond that now, it's time to giddy up. All right. It's time to heal that shit. So when you are functioning from trauma, this is how it looks like. Okay. You are coming from a place of hurt. You are highly triggered a lot of times. You're angry a lot. You're kind of like at the precipice of always yelling at somebody, right? Or at the precipice of always crying or being angry or saying how much you hate people, right? Or you're in the throes of your victimhood. That's also one aspect of being in your trauma. And the thing is, when you are in that trauma, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, yes, release that which no longer serves you. Time to release that trauma. Absolutely. And I'm seeing the question, will this be saved? Sorry, I came in late. Can you repeat them again? Well, I won't be repeating the teaching that I've done so far. You can check out the replay. But today's topic is the 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. And there will be a replay in Instagram. You will find it in my video section. And on Facebook, you will find it in the video section too. And so number 5 is release your trauma. If you don't, you will be in your muck for the rest of your life. And I've seen that happen. And it's not pretty, okay? And some things you will know too about your trauma. It doesn't need to take years. It doesn't. So I had some patients before who would come in and they would come in for Reiki like, weekly, and they were pretty, consistent. But there came a time where, they were just coming to get band-aids. They weren't willing to do the work. And so you need to be willing to do the work and to clear out what no longer serves you, because until you do, you will not be sovereign. You will not be sovereign because you will be giving your power away to your trauma. You'll be giving your power away to the entities that you're possessed by. You're going to be giving your trauma away to your perpetrators. You're going to be giving your power away to everything outside of you. And that is called disempowerment. And that is you not being in touch with your sovereignty. So when you clear your sovereignty, you clear your trauma, should I say, you enter your sovereignty. Okay, that's really, really important. As you clear your trauma, you start taking ownership of your light and your power, and you start to claim your sovereignty. So that's so, so important. Okay? And so here are the next action steps that you can take. And then after that, I'll take some of your questions around this topic. So next action steps, now that you know of the 5 things that you can let go of so you can connect with your power. And before then, we talked about what happens when you don't clear out what no longer serves you. So now what you can do in terms of action steps is, number 1, do the inner work to clear your fears and your attachment to trauma. Because a lot of light workers want to feel really cosmic, want to feel the high vibes, they want to talk with their star family, but you will not do that if you are stuck in your trauma, stuck in your pain, when you're angry, and when you're blaming others. That is, just technically not high vibrational. Not that there's a judgment on that, but what will happen if you're not in a high vibrational state, you will not access those higher realms. So if you really want to access those higher realms, clear your shit out. Clear it up. Number two, stop settling. Stop settling for mediocre. Stop settling for, I can deal with that. I'll accept that. Stop settling in your life. Because when you're settling, that is based on old perceptions, outdated perceptions. It's based on, well, on January 1st, I experienced this trauma. And so based on that, I probably won't get what I want. So I'm going to settle. And so I'm going to just ask what I can settle for, right? Every time you settle, you do not step into your power. That's not you stepping into your power. When you settle, you are telling yourself that you can't have it all. When you settle, you say that you are not worth it. When you settle, you say you're not deserving. That's what you're actually telling yourself when you settle. On the other hand, when you stop settling and you claim all the stuff that you want, right? So let's just take something that's a little bit more accessible, something like a relationship, right? Let's say you're settling for someone who doesn't really respect you, doesn't really honor you, maybe treats you poorly, but it's good enough because maybe they get along with your child, right? That's settling. Taking the next level of that into sovereignty could look like, because you can approach it many different ways, is I'm not going to settle anymore. I'm not going to settle for someone anymore who will not honor me. I will not settle anymore to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't love me, who doesn't show me respect, and get clear on what it is you want, right? Like, do you want to settle? Like, and if you do, then you get to check that out because that's not your real you talking, right? And so then you get to start being clear about what do you want? Okay, then maybe the list can look something like, I want someone to respect me, who will be respectful of me in my light, who will honor me, who will love me, who will, stand up for me, have a criteria list of what it is you really, really want if you had no boundaries around this certain something. And that goes with everything in your life. Like I mentioned relationships, but this can be applied to investing in yourself at levels that scare you. This can be applied to how you run your business, right? The type of clients you work with. Where are you settling? Get clear on where you're settling because that will tell you where your power lies. Okay? So that was number two. Third action step, take 100% responsibility for your life. Stop blaming other people and start looking at where you took part in making this thing happen. The faster you can do that, the faster you can take ownership of your fuck ups and also your successes. Because the same person who will blame other people will also say, when they get that promotion, when they make that major leap in their life, right? They'll give that to other people too. They'll be like, oh, it's because of this person that I succeeded, right? So take 100% responsibility for your life. That's number 3. Number 4, raise your vibration. Raise your vibration because it's not enough to only do the clearing work. You must also couple that with raising your frequency. And this is not just the whole good vibes only situation, okay? I'm talking about you cultivating a lifestyle where it feeds your vibration. It feeds your soul to live the way you do. It feeds your soul to talk to the people that you naturally talk to on a daily basis. It feeds your soul to eat the type of foods that you're eating on any given day. It feeds your soul to ingest only the types of information on social media or on TV that you want, that feeds your soul, right? And same thing too is raise your frequency and your vibrations. A really fast way to do that is the activations. I perform activations that are power activations, and they are on point and they're really, really powerful. And in fact, giving you a heads up right now, I'm going to be offering something in the next maybe 2 weeks. I'll announce it when I figure out what it is, but see, here I am practicing what I preach, right? I'm telling you that I'm going to be doing something. I'm going to be offering something that's going to have activations. It's going to be a 2-day live event of some sort, and it's going to be in the next 2 weeks. And it's going to be a very special offering that I'm going to share once I figure out what it is. And but I just want to let you know that it's going to be happening. So anyway, activations very quickly raise your vibration. And depending on what type of activation it is, so juicy. Lisa shares, of course, I came in at this part. I'm currently healing from a major car wreck trauma. I'm sorry to hear that. And at the same time, you've got this, right? Like get the support you need. Like, I mean, I'm an acupuncturist, I'm a little biased, but acupuncture is, it's so good for pain management, for injuries, for breaking up the fascia, for all different kinds of physical stuff. And then, of course, it opens up your meridians and, gives you like that spiritual connection. That's always awesome too. Very, very important. And so I'm seeing some questions coming in, but I'm going to just finish these action steps first, and then I'm going to jump into your questions. So raising your vibration, very, very important. So many ways to raise your vibration. Activations, such as the ones that I perform, very quick. They do the job. It's like in and out, done. It's like a SWAT team, right? At least that's my impression of what a SWAT team would be. Is like they go in, do the job, they leave, right? It's like done, bam, happened. It happened, right? So, and there's so many ways to raise your vibration. Meditation, sound healing, sound baths. I love sound baths. Anything sound, vibrational, solfeggio frequencies, binaural beats, laughing, drinking unfluoridated water, surrounding yourself with people who only feed your soul and your spirit. Those are some of the ways you can raise your vibration. And if you want to like really do a big, pedal to the metal experience, activation work will really do the thing. Number 5, for your 5th action step, take aligned, scary action. And you hear me talk about this all the time, is getting out your comfort zone, doing things that scare the shit out of you. Like really, truly, like not a little, but like a lot, like a lot. And for some light workers, that looks like making your first video. Maybe that looks like investing in yourself at a level that scares you. Maybe that could look like providing an offer that stretches you a little bit, that maybe you don't feel very confident in just yet, but it's aligned, right? So make sure you take these actions, because anywhere where you are not doing something because you're afraid of it is actually where your power lies. Okay? Where you are resisting, where you're scared is actually where your power lies. And so the way to liberate that power and to bust that open is to do it. And you may not need to do it like full on, full force, right? But just like start doing things towards that. So that's really, really important. So the 5 action steps in terms of connecting with your power is to do the inner work to clear your fears and attachment to trauma. That was number 1. Number 2, stop settling. Number 3, take 100% responsibility for your life. Number 4, raise your vibration and your frequency. Number 5, take aligned, scary action. So if you're just jumping into this live today, today's topic is the 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. And we covered and discussed what happens when you don't clear out what no longer serves you. I talk about the 5 things that you let go of so you can connect with your power, and 5 action steps to get you started. So my challenge to you is to do one of these action steps that I just covered to help yourself let go of these things that are blocking you from your power. So now I'm going to answer some questions. And I see this question here from Lisa. Excuse me. Can you recommend how we clear out our trauma, like sage it out? If it's true trauma, sage is helpful, but it's not going to be the catalyst for your healing. Sage is better for clearing out your energy. So if you've accumulated, and especially if you're an empath, if you've accumulated other people's energy, sage yourself at the end of your day. Like I've told you before, I sage myself, or not sage, I Palo Santo myself, but I love sage also. I Palo Santo myself every single day because when, especially the higher level work that you do, make sure that you are cleansing yourself so you're not carrying other things on, if you know what I mean. But in terms of clearing out your trauma, start getting curious about what you're holding. Start getting curious about, okay, let's start locating your trauma, first of all. Start locating it, whether it be in your body, quite literally, or start locating it as something you're noticing a pattern that you're doing. And one way you can notice is if you're getting highly triggered. If you're highly triggered by something, or if you could say like the number one trigger that you have, because we're so much better at saying what we don't like and what we don't want and what we want to complain about rather than all the amazing things that we love about ourselves, right? So go for that first. What triggers you the most? And I'm pretty sure that whatever it is a key to you unlocking what your trauma is about. Because being triggered, highly rageful, highly emotional, all of that stuff, and being highly reactionary, that's coming from trauma that is unhealed. So you heal that by you start getting curious about it. You start creating awareness around it. What exactly is that trauma that I'm carrying? And then you start getting help for it, right? You get the healing work done, Reiki sessions, acupuncture, healing work, sound healings, binaural beats, right? Talk therapy. There's so many ways to go at this. And as you notice, I didn't mention activation work when you're clearing out your trauma. Although I have to say, I do a lot of powerful trauma clearing with my clients. But if you're in a highly reactive state, activations would not be for you. This would be more for like when you've come to a certain level of healing around your experience in this world and you're ready to really expand that and you're no longer in a highly reactive state. So that's how you want to really approach it first, is start getting connected to what your trauma is about, create an awareness around it, and then get the help. And usually that looks like healing help of some sort. Okay. Laura's saying, I wish I could sage trauma out. Holy cannoli, has it been a workout? Yeah, it's going to be a workout, folks. So just giving you a heads up. If you're expecting daisies and roses and, you know, traipsing through the meadows, you got another thing coming. Okay. All right. So make sure you have questions about this topic, and I'm scrolling in through the feed now to see if you have any questions for me. Okay. Lisa's saying, thank you, I feel a lot better. I got here right on time. I heard what I needed to hear. Okay. So activations, so Reiki, they're not really activations, they're attunements in terms of when you're referring to Reiki. And attunements are, when you receive the Reiki symbols and you get attuned to the next level. Those are not activations. Activations, it's a whole nother animal. It's really a whole nother animal. And just since you asked about it, I'll just give you some quick clarity on what activations are and what they aren't. Activations, and especially with my activations, which are power activations, they are not meditations. They are not passive experiences. They are not Reiki. It's not Reiki. And what it is that it's literally me reconfiguring time and space, your timelines. It's literally an activation of whatever it is that you're wanting. I'm literally activating that for you in your life. And so my concentration is really on your divine power. And so one thing that I always address in power activation work with my clients is their power. And so it will always look like kind of getting clear about where they're feeling in their power, where they're not feeling in their power, where they want to go with their power, and then really activating that for them. And sometimes activations can be clearing. Sometimes they can be instantly healing because it's actually a cellular upgrade. It's a cellular upgrade. I'm bringing in cosmic frequencies, I'm bringing in higher dimensional energies, and I'm literally saying, okay, so kind of moving this over here and like, literally fixing up the timeline, clearing out the old timelines, bringing in and anchoring in the new ones, and helping you function from that embodied divine power aspect on the cellular level. So that's what an activation is. And so it can be instantly healing, though, that said, because it has happened where, I've performed activations, and although it's virtual, and it's something where, it sounds like we're just talking, right? That person after the activation will be like, whoa, that chronic back pain is gone, right? And that's because sometimes the chronic pain is, I hate to say it, sometimes it's some attachment you've got. Like an entity or something like that. Or sometimes it's like the energy of outdated stories that are no longer serving you. And so it kind of clears up just like that. And I mean, it's happened before too with one of my existing clients where she's actually been moving through her pregnancy and having some health stuff going on. And after one of the activations that I performed for her levels in her body actually started getting normalized. So that's what I'm talking about, folks, is that it does feel spiritually powerful, and it does connect you with that, and it's a physical experience. Like it literally becomes then you emerge from that experience operating from a different timeline. So I hope that helped. I see the question here. Any tips for letting go on expectations of other people? I know I'm carrying some disappointment from family. Okay, looks like from family. And yeah, so releasing expectations from other people and especially family, because I mean, that can be hard, especially if, for a lot of light workers, sometimes their families haven't always been there for them in the way they wanted, right? So sometimes they might be like, well, I expect them to show love to me in this type of way, or I expect them to demonstrate affection to me in this type of way, right? Like I expect a mother to act mothering, for instance, right? Or I expect my mother to be nurturing, but if your mother has not been, and it's quite likely she may not change anytime soon, then that's an expectation, right? And it's a expectation that will disappoint you. And I'm going to say that right now. It will disappoint you, especially if it's like that mother wound thing or a father wound thing. It will disappoint you if you still expect them to show up for you in that way, in a way they may not be capable of, right? So the way to address that type of expectation, and this is something you can apply across the board with expectations in general, is be an acceptance of where people are at. Okay? Be an acceptance that, okay, maybe they didn't have the capacity I hoped they had to be a more loving individual. Maybe they don't, maybe that's their best right now, because sometimes people are showing you their best. And maybe it may not be something that is good enough for you, but that might still be that person's best, right? So just start practicing some compassion, and not from a place of, oh, that's okay with me, right? Because maybe you get to work that out also. That's kind of another layer. But you get to be in acceptance of the fact that that person is the way they are, and come from a place of service. Because when you're coming from a place of service, you're truly in that giving state from a place of healthy energy boundaries, and you're not expecting anything in return. So when I'm saying healthy energy boundaries, I'm saying like you're performing a service or something for someone, and you can expect to receive payment for that, right? For the transformation you're providing. And so that is a way to approach that. So I hope that answered your question. So I'm scrolling here. Yeah, and I'm seeing some people confirming about mothers triggering them and that kind of thing. So there's unhealed stuff. Wherever you're triggered is where you are unhealed. And I even speak about that with money too. You know, some people get really caught up with money and they demonize money and they say it's unspiritual and they're highly, highly triggered. You know, they're highly triggered by people who talk about money like me. That's why I'm always talking about money. Because it's like, get used to it. You want to be an abundant light worker? Get used to talking about money. Normalize talking about money. Okay? Because the more you normalize the things that you do want to experience in your life, the faster you're going to just get it, right? So someone is sharing this has been a wonderful experience that I wasn't quite expecting to have today. You're welcome. Okay. Yes. Christina is saying, how do I know that I don't carry any hidden trauma experience? Well, you know, because it sounds like you've been doing some work on the trauma already, right? If that's you, you've already been doing tons of work on trauma. What can sometimes happen is that as soon as you're freshly done, like from being out of the ringer, like you just got spit out from doing all of that major, major work, and you're like, oh my God, that was a lot of trauma work, right? And you just did that, right? Replenish, and then start getting curious about, is there anything else that's lingering? And you will be able to tell because you're going to get triggered. And it may not be as big as before you did that trauma work, but it'll still be like, it'll be like, you know, it'll be one of those things that you're like, okay, that really feels like nails down a chalkboard to me. Like I'm still annoyed by it, right? If you're still annoyed by something, you probably carry some unhealed thing about that. So that's how you can tell. Okay. Yeah. I love how you guys are helping each other out here and helping. Cutting cords. Yes, cutting cords, another great way to really clear that out. That's it's kind of part of the whole being intentional and also healing relationships, right? Because so that's cutting cords is also very, very helpful. And so that's very, very important. Okay, let me see. Unmet expectations, acceptance, accepting who they are, where they're at, not taking it personally. So good. You guys are so good with this. And Ashma is sharing so true, and the same goes for family expectations of us as well. There are family in this lifetime, but our soul is infinite. Yes, beautifully said. So I'm guessing that is all of the questions since I don't see any more, and it's also at the top of the hour. So I'm actually, you know, this was such a juicy conversation, and you guys had a lot to share about it. So that's great. You know, you guys should have a lot to say because when you engage with questions, when you ask questions, when you challenge things, when you challenge belief systems, including your own, when you get curious about things, you are engaging with your power. So congratulations. Nice, nice done. Okay, so that's going to be all for the questions I'll be answering for now. And I want to respect everyone else's time as well. So I hope this really served you. If you're just coming in, this topic has been the 5 things to let go of so you can connect with your power. Make sure to check out the replay. It's going to be in the video section on Instagram and Facebook. And next week, we will be on again for the next episode of Rise Up with Margarita, which will be the week of Thanksgiving. And it'll be Monday the 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. So the 22nd at 2. So we got some good vibes on that already. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, by the way, for some of you folks who may not be in the US or maybe West Coast, because I'm in the East Coast, I'm in New York City. And I hope that served you. And have a wonderful week. Make sure you are mindful of the challenge that I set out for you to do one of the 5 action steps that I shared in today's live. Thea's hailing from South Africa. So glad you were able to join us. I have a feel, isn't it late for you guys over there? I think it might be evening for you guys over there. So yeah, challenge yourself for one action step If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the replay and do it and do it, right? So have a wonderful week full of love, light, and power.